December 12. 1656 A.M. The rain of the deluge having ceased to fall, having continued 40 days, from the 17th of the 2D month, answering to our 2D November, Q. 404 B.C. Darius II Nahus, king of Persia, died, after a reign of 19 years, and was succeeded by Artaxerxes Nemron, his son. Another of his sons, carried on several successful wars during the reign of Darius. 1271. Richard, king of the Romans, died, at Berkhamsted, England. 1600. John Craig, a Scottish ecclesiastic, died. He was at first a Dominican, and by his talents recommended himself to Cardinal Pole. But, becoming a heretic, narrowly escaped being burned. He afterwards became the coadjutor of Knox, the great reformer. 1611. Thomas Sutton, a rich English bachelor, died. He was the founder of the Charterhouse. 1630. David Petersen de Vries, who had associated himself with Samuel Godin, Kilian van Rensselaer, Samuel Blomert, and Jan de Litt, sailed from Texel for the South Delaware River, intending to plant a colony there, Godin being informed that whales were plenty in those regions, and fish oil being 60 guilders the hogshead. The vessel was laden with utensils for fishing, and planters and cattle for the colony. 1653. Oliver Cromwell declared Lord Protector of England for life, and the same day dissolved the convention called Barebones's Parliament, by the corporal of the guard and a file of soldiers. 1671. Vopiscus Fortunatus Polempius, a Dutch physician and professor at Louvain, died, leaving several valuable works. 1676. William Maurice, a learned Englishman, died, Secretary of State under Charles II. 1680. The extraordinary comet of this year observed throughout Britain. 1685. John Pell died, an English divine, and very eminent mathematician. 1688. James II, of England, made his escape from London. 1731. John Horsley died, author of a very learned and excellent work entitled Britannia Romana, being an ample account of the vestiges of the Romans in Britain. 1733. The bills of mortality in London this year showed the death of 14,372 males, and 14,861 females. 1753. An act passed the Provincial Assembly of New York, that mortgages should be subjected to public registry for the prevention of frauds. A useful one, did not reach all the mischiefs intended to be prevented. 1757. Colley Cibber, poet laureate to George II, died. He was also a very noted comedian. He wrote a curious apology for his life. 1764. John Odo Tabor died at Frankfort. He was a native of Lusatia, became counselor to the Landgrave of Hesse-Darmstadt, and wrote several works on law. 1776. The neighborhood of Philadelphia having become the seat of war, Congress adjourned to Baltimore. 1777. Albert Haller, an eminent Swiss physician, died. He was a voluminous writer, and one of the most acute, various and original men that have appeared since. Bayer Hive. 1781. Action between the British fleet, 12 sail, under Kempenfelt, and a French convoy, protected by 19 heavy ships of the line, and 2 armed en flute. 20 were captured, having on board 1,100 troops, and about 600 seamen, besides valuable cargoes of military stores, cannon, etc. 1782. Action between British ship Mediator and American ship Alexander, 24 guns, Captain Gregory, and French ship Menagerie, 212 men, laden with powder, naval stores, etc. The two latter were captured without any loss on the part of the British. 1783. John Scott died, an English Quaker poet, called the Poet of Arnwell. 1787. Pennsylvania, the second state, ratified the Constitution of the United States, without amendments. 1789. Richard Dalton, an Austrian general, died. He commanded in the Low Countries, in 1787, and though a strict disciplinarian and a man of bravery, betrayed so much weakness during the insurrection in Brabant, that he was sent for to answer charges, and died on the journey. 1793. Battle of Mans. The Royalists of La Vendée defeated with great slaughter by the French under Marceau. 1804. John Boydell died, a most distinguished encourager of the arts of painting and engraving, in England. 1809. Action at night between British sloop Trincomail and French privateer Iphigene. The sloop was blown up and all on board but two perished. The privateer had her side stove and her masts forced out by the shock, and lost 115 men. 1822. Napoli di Romania, the ancient Nauplia, surrendered to the Greeks, after a long and tedious blockade, during which the Turkish garrison was reduced to feed on the corpses of their companions. The Crescent had been flying on the fortress uninterruptedly since 1714, at which time it was treacherously given up to the Kuamorgi, and made the seat of the Turkish government for the Mohri. 1830. Benjamin Constant, a distinguished French author, and one of the greatest orators of his day, was honored with a magnificent funeral. 1834. The Carlists, of Spain, under Generezo, defeated at Zoraida, by the troops of the Queen, under General Mina. 1834. The government of Greece transferred from Napoli to Athens. 1836. John Davidson, an English traveler, murdered by the El Hareb tribe of Africans, on his way to Timbuktu. He commenced traveling in 1826, and had visited North and South America, India, Egypt, as far as the Second Cataract, Syria, Palestine, Turkey, Greece, Italy, France and Germany, and had proceeded to within 25 days' journey of the city of Timbuktu. He was conversant with the different languages of the East, and possessed extraordinary enterprise and great accomplishments as a traveler. 1838. Charles Philip Reed, a Bavarian field marshal, died. He distinguished himself under Bonaparte, in the war against Austria, and was severely wounded at the Battle of Wagram. In the celebrated Russian campaign he commanded, with great credit, the Bavarian contingent army. 1840. J. D. E. Esquirol, who so successfully introduced a new mode of treating the insane, died. 1842. Elkanah Watson, a great friend of and writer on internal improvements, died at Port Kent, Essex County, New York, aged 86. 1847. James Kent, so long distinguished as an American jurist and philanthropist, died at New York, aged 84. 1849. Isambard Brunel, the celebrated engineer of the Thames Tunnel, died at London. 1856. Hermann E. Ludwig, a Saxon scholar, died in Brooklyn, New York, aged 47. He is known by his literature of American local history.